Hi everyone. My name is Amira. I'm a PhD student at Western Michigan University. I'm from Egypt, and this is my fourth year in Kalamazoo. I am currently doing my PhD in teaching English as a second language. My day around 7 o'clock in the morning. I used to teach grades 4 and 5 in an American school. So school usually started around 8:15, and then we headed to class right away. Classes were around 45 minutes. We usually did English lessons, like we would do double lessons of English. So that would be around an hour and a half of classes, and then I take a break. I would finish and run home right away after a very hectic day just to be with my family. This is when we have lunch. Our main meal in Egypt is lunch, not really dinner. But we have lunch later. So our lunch is around 5 p.m. So when you're out of work, when you get out of work or school or whatever, this is when we have lunch together. As a teacher, I usually have so much grading to do. So this is how my evenings are like, not so much fun. And I would go out to meet my friends. Our usual, kind of get together thing is coffee shops. We have lots and lots of coffee shops in Egypt. Outdoor coffee shops. We're just sitting out there in the street. We have lots of coffee and tea, even at night, very late at night. We have lots of coffee and tea. And that's pretty much it. In Egypt, we don't have any snow. We still get winters, but nothing compared to here. So no storms, no sandstorms, no snowstorms, nothing like this. Our summers are super hot, super humid. So you have to be okay with that. I'm from Alexandria. This is my home city. And Alexandria is right by the Mediterranean. So I'm used to being by the sea all the time. We have walks all the time by the sea, but it's very humid. So you also have to be okay with that. So it's more like Florida, let's say. As for our winter in Alexandria, we get so much rain, but it's still decent weather still. So yeah, that's why it's been a bit of a struggle for me here to get used to all the snow. Eastern, sometime around April, it's kind of similar. We do all the egg coloring, and it's so much fun. We also celebrate Mother's Day, but it's different. We celebrate Mother's Day in March. And you have to get your mother, your grandmas, your aunts, all the women in your family have to get them gifts. What else? And our biggest celebration of the year is, if you've heard of Ramadan before, and as Muslims, this is a celebration that lasts for the whole month, where we get to fast all day long. So no, we don't eat at all, and we don't even drink water. So it's a bit of a challenge, especially in summer, because of course the day is longer and it's super hot. But that's the whole idea of Ramadan, is how you can abstain from all the pleasures in life. It's not just about food, of course, but how you get used and make your body also get used to the idea that you're fasting, you're not eating any day from sunset till the sun is out. So pretty much the whole day, we do not eat anything. But the reward is, once the day is over, we get to eat so much. So it's kind of like you're making up, so it's so much fun. It's the time when all the families get together all the time. You're not supposed, the whole idea of Ramadan is getting together. We're with family every single day of the month. You get to eat all the yummy food. So it's a lot of fun. A student at school, I was learning English all the way from the beginning. school was more like, especially my English class, my classes were more in the form of all memorization. We had to study sentences, we had to memorize them. I remember having lists, very long lists of words, you know, and I just had to write them over and over. Oh my God, that was not fun for sure. So it's very different. And it took me some time also to get used to it. But I'm actually enjoying it here, the whole experience of school. I'm enjoying it here way better. This technology piece. So here, because everyone is used to the whole idea of e-learning or whatever kind of online system that you're using. And I feel this has been amazing because it saves so much time. This has been great. The whole idea of having access, like through the university, for example, to have access to all the online libraries. This is a huge privilege. That English classes start from kindergarten. So from the very beginning, you start off with English classes and Arabic classes all the way through. So I would say at least everyone has some level of English language proficiency.
Wow.
When anyone asks me, oh, where are you from? And I'm like, oh, I'm from Egypt. I try to tell them, well, no, this is not true. We do not ride camels. No, not anymore. We used to, but not anymore. So it's just how everyone has these ideas, you know, from movies, of course, and I blame Hollywood. And I tell them, well, it's very different. Yes, a huge part of Egypt is desert, which is true, of course, but that's not how cities are like. Cairo, the capital of Egypt, is more like a New York. It's insane. You can be stuck in traffic for hours there. Yeah, very different than the idea that people have. Some people just don't know, and I don't blame them because this is the kind of, you know, this is what is shown in the media and on movies. But I tell them, well, if you decide to visit one day, I'm sure you'll be very surprised. Yeah. So one thing, people still have stereotypes, especially about women in Egypt, that women do not go to school or they are not educated. And I'm like, people, come on. I've traveled, you know, all around the world just to be here to get a degree. They have these ideas about families being very rigid. I want to choose the right word. And I tell them, no, I'm here. This is an example. My parents have been super supportive. I'm here all alone. All my family is back in Egypt. They've been very supportive and they just want me to get my degree and they're very happy for me, but they call me every single day. So I have to call them every single day just to make sure that I'm okay. And, but, you know, when you think of all these ideas that people have, and I'm like, no, you would be very surprised if you'd see how different things have been, maybe not all through history, of course, but at least now things are different. You would just meet anyone on the street, and it's pretty common that people say hi to each other even if they don't know each other. So people are very friendly. They smile at each other even if we don't know each other, and that's completely fine. That's not considered, you know, like weird or anything. So a very common kind of welcoming each other. We would say ahlan wa sahlan. It's like welcome. And the response is also ahlan wa sahlan. Culture is more of a culture that depends on the collectivism manner. We're always together. We get together on weekends, every weekend. So our weekends are Fridays and Saturdays. So Friday is our get together day. It's usually the day when everyone has to meet at the grandparents' house. Yes. So Fridays we get together. We definitely share a meal. We have to share, yes. So the food part is a main part of getting together with my cousins all the time. And cousins, we're just like, siblings. We meet together every weekend. We play cards, or we go to the movies together. Yeah. So this is the time when we leave the grown-ups at home, and then we can get to go out all the time. Either we go shopping together, to the movies, bowling, maybe. It's a little bit, it is different than how things are like here in the US. So there's the president. We don't really do like vice president as it is the situation here. But then the government is divided into a bunch of different ministries. So the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Health. And there is a minister in charge of each of these ones. And this person usually takes care of whatever that has to do with his position, makes all the decisions. And then when it comes to the cities, we call them governorates. There's a governor for each city as well. In Egypt is the Egyptian pound. And would be surprised. So the rate, so $1 is around 15 Egyptian pounds. So that's why when I usually try to encourage people to visit Egypt, I'll be like, it is going to be super cheap for you to be there. Because yeah, it's around, I'd say maybe $1, maybe 15 pounds and a half. So social media is a big thing. The most common platform I would say is Facebook. Way more common than here. That's something that I've noticed. And I think people just use it. It's their kind of, I don't know, way to express themselves. So I would say maybe Facebook and Instagram. These are the two big things. I love using Instagram just for the taking all the photos, and I try all the time to take photos of my home city and show people, my friends here in the US, whenever I go back home, because I try to show them, this is how it's like. I've been to this city, I've been to the pyramids, and everyone is like, oh, wow. So yeah, I think people just, even, my parents, this generation, they're so into Facebook now, because I feel that it's more like a way to express yourself, say what you think about even politics. The pyramids are in Giza, Cairo, part of Cairo, which is around 2 hours away from Alexandria. So it is fun it is a very, very unique experience. Like, you cannot visit Egypt and not go to the pyramids, of course. But it's not just something that we have like pyramids all around. No, we don't. Well, we always have this kind of, what can I say, rivalry between people in Alexandria and in Cairo, because we're like, oh, in Alexandria, we're way better because we're right by the Mediterranean, and we enjoy the super good weather, super amazing weather. Whereas in Cairo, they're lucky to have the Nile River also, which is also very, very beautiful. So it's kind of, like, oh, no, we're better. No, we're better, So the most popular game and sport, of course, is football. And by football, I do not mean American football. I mean soccer. And this has been so funny, because whenever I say football, and I'm like, no, I don't mean American football. That's not football for us. I mean soccer. So soccer is such a big thing there. There's one of those big games. It's like the Super Bowl here. And whenever there's this weekend, there's this big game and everyone is crazy about it. You'd find coffee shops packed hours before the game. It's kind of the same thing. You have to have enough snacks, for the 2 hours. Yeah, your drinks, you have to be ready. It's usually also one of these days when we get together in my grandma's place, for example, and everyone, whether you like football or not, you have to watch the game. Just to have an open mind, whether it comes to Egypt or any other country, especially maybe African country, Middle Eastern country, because again, I know we've talked about stereotypes, but sometimes I feel like people just need more knowledge. They need to read more. Sometimes some people just do not have this kind of exposure, but when I tell them, please just do not keep this idea in mind that you have about a Middle Eastern country, because I have suffered, because of that. Whenever someone, oh, you're from the Middle East, then you must be this and this and this. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I've heard this so many times. Oh, how come you're from the Middle East and you're not wearing a headscarf, a hijab? And I'm like, not everyone does. That's totally fine. It's a personal choice. And I'm not, here I am and I'm not. And so sometimes I get these looks like, how come, And I'm like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. If we're open to more ideas, different ideas, and just the ideas that not everyone is the same, people are different. But that's the beauty of it. You get to meet different people and you get to know them and know more about their cultures. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is interesting. This is the first time I hear about this. I do the same thing here, when everything was new to me when I first came here in 2017. So